Okay, so we now know how to add fractions and how to simplify them. And we're looking at it visually, it kind of makes sense. Down here, we've got the what I did is I had 5/5 is obviously equal to 1, and 30/30 is also equal to 1. And you can see, therefore, that 6/30 is going to be the same as 5/5, as 1/5. Now, and taking away is the same idea. We just need to get this into the same denominator. I'm going to quickly do this one. In fact, you could perhaps pause the video and try and do this one. I'll pause the video now and do it. Okay, so if you multiply the bottom two numbers, you'll get 21. They both go into, so therefore they're both going to 21. What did I do to turn a 7 into 21? I multiplied it by 3, so I multiplied the top number by 3, so that ends up 15. The 3 turned into 21 by multiplying it by 7, so I multiply the top number by 7. 1 times 7 is 7. 15 take away 7 is 8. So it's 8 over 21, and that can't actually be simplified any further, so that's that. Now, what about timesing and dividing fractions? First of all, so let's do one down here. If I said 1/5 of 20, not too hard, really. We just imagine chopping 20 into 5. So 1/5 of 20 is exactly the same as 20 divided by 5, isn't it? So that's what 1/5 means. Well, 2/5 gets a bit more confusing, but obviously it's just going to be that number and then times by 2. Um, so, so what about if I did 1/5? Let's say, what about if I did half of, maybe half of a third? What would that mean? Well, using the diagram, we can get a third, and we can try to imagine what will half of 1/3 be. So if we imagine that this entire thing here is 1, then one of these things is obviously 1/3, and we want to know half of that 1/3. So I would have to chop that into 2. So let's do that now. Okay, so I've chopped each one of these thirds into 2, and you can see that therefore one of them is actually now a sixth. So half of a third is equal to a sixth. So what did I how does that work in terms of maths? You simply multiply this bottom number, but you actually multiply the top number as well. So in other words, if it was half of 2/3, well, that would not be equal to, it would be equal to 1. So you'd multiply the top number and the bottom number, and you get 2/6. So half of 2/3, well, that's 2/3 there. And we're going to chop it in half, or we can chop it in half like that. Wait a second, hang on a second. Yeah, so obviously half of 2/3 is going to be 1/3, isn't it? So when you take 2/3 and you chop it in half, then you can see it's 1/3, which is the same as 2/6. So yeah, basically when you multiply, so and the bit that I missed out is that whenever we do half of something, or a fifth of something, or 2/3 of something, this of is basically the same as times. So a half of 20 simply can be written as 1/5 times 20. A half of 2/3 can be written as one half times 2/3. Last little trick with divide, because I've got a little bit of time left on the video. If you divide fractions, you simply flip it upside down and imagine timesing it. So what I mean by that is, let's say, it's being weird, hang on. So as an example then, if we did, in fact, let's do dividing in the next video then. Okay, so that was timesing. Now we'll look at divide. Very, very simple little trick, and brings it to be the same as multiply. So I'll do that next.